My name is Chad Moses, and I serve To Write Love on Our Arms as our Senior Director of Outreach.
Can you tell me a little bit about your own mental health journey?
Absolutely. So, I guess it'd probably be fair to start off with what To Write Love is, and that kind of gives
Yeah.
some context into why I'm here. So, To Write Love on Our Arms, we're a nonprofit organization, and we exist to present hope and find help for anyone struggling with mental health challenges, stuff like depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. And we really exist to build better bridges to connect people looking for help to local and affordable options for that help. So we've been around since 2006, and for me, 2006 was right when I was starting to have my own journeys with mental health. Mental health was always something that was, theoretical. It was something that someone else would deal with, or something, challenges that weren't present in my own life until they were very present, until they were unignorable. So when I revisit that mission statement of our organization, when I talk about things like depression, substance abuse, self-injury, suicide, those were all chapters in my own story. And to not make this whole conversation about me, I was really able to navigate some serious valleys with the help of friends, people that really loved me despite all the reasons I was giving them not to. People that believed in me, people that believed in help, and really helped nurture me towards making some better decisions, making healthier choices, and really prioritizing my own heart. So yeah, I'm here. My story, it occurs to me. I'm barely the main character in my own story. That I'm really here because there were so many people that I was able to find loving support through.
Yeah, what is it like working with people that have a similar mission?
Oh man, like so often, when we talk about these things, when we talk about things like depression and addiction and self-injury and suicide, what we're really talking about is pain, right? But pain that grows in isolation, pain that exists because we've bought the lie that we're in this alone, or we bought the lie that these degrees of pain have, essentially made us wave away our right to personal connection. So we see time and again, and I've seen it in my own life, it's time and again that options for healing really come up as people meet you where you are. And then from there, there are resources that exist, but so often they feel so far out of reach because of the stigma, because of the silence that we really see mental health live in, and mental health challenges thrive in. So, uh, it, community, to kind of use a word that you're hinting towards there, Michael. Community makes all the difference when we engage with people that we don't have to explain ourselves to, when we engage with people that we don't feel like we have to defend ourselves to, when we find people that just believe in, you know not only where we are, but in where we can go, and where we can go together. That makes all the difference.
I know for me, I live with bipolar disorder too, and the biggest challenges was seeing other people going through similar mental health issues because
Mm.
sometimes you feel alone. So, how important is it to have a good support system for people with lived experience?
Yeah, I normally kind of frame it this way, that we've been conditioned to hide our pain, to hide our doubts, to hide our questions from people. And I've met enough people that have provided proof that you can, find help in and of yourself. You can get through this alone, but that's never been expected of you.
Right.
You don't get bonus points for going through life alone. So why would you? When you talk about people that have walked similar roads, we're talking about wisdom that's been accrued over the years. Michael, when you think about your own journey and your own conversations about mental health, I reckon that you and the listeners can give an amen to this. That you first learned about mental health through some pretty poor teachers.
Yeah.
That you probably had your first conversations about mental health, or heard your first conversations about mental health in the context of a joke, or a rumor, or a whisper, right? So we know that there's more people that live with these conditions than we've ever imagined. And as we encounter these other people, we're learning people that are changing the dynamic of the conversation. That now in the year 2025, we get to have this conversation on podcast or on
Yeah.
video. We get to show people, yeah, you can have a diagnosis. Yeah, you can have a past or even a present that is something that you're really wrestling with. And there's people that know exactly where you are. So in those rooms, in those conversations, we learn about things that are really helpful that we haven't considered before. We learned about options to find help and therapy that maybe are less helpful. And maybe we can save some time and energy by leaving those off to the side while we pursue something that feels a bit more resonant with our own life and our own story. I remember, man, when I was first taking my steps into healing from self-injury, I remember reading some books, just trying to learn as much as I could about this, trying to feel a little bit less alone. And the book that I found was pretty comprehensive for its time, but it was dated when I got it. I remember the first chapter saying that the self-harmer is an adolescent female, and I'm like, well, I'm not an adolescent anymore, and I've never been female. So where does this put me in the scope of all this? Now, that book was being written based off of people sharing their own story voluntarily. And we've seen over the past 20, 30, 40 years, people say, you know what, there's other people that are struggling. And actually people that have mental health, challenges can look like, well, anyone. They can look like people that you go to work with, people you go to church with, people in your family, people that just see on the bus, people that you see in the mirror. That mental health doesn't have a poster child unless that poster is in fact your mirror. We all have mental health, and that mental health can can definitely ebb and flow in terms of integration and disintegration, right? And all of it's okay. But the hope is that wherever you are on that spectrum, that you don't feel alone with it, and that you can encourage more people to feel less alone.
So I've been looking at your website, which is great. I like one thing that says hope and help can't exist without the other.
Hmm.
Can you explain why hope and help are so important together?
Yeah, hope is one of those words that it's been really monopolized by greeting card companies, and I think to its detriment. Hope is actually something pretty badass. Hope is not this just dreamy and intangible thing, but hope is a voice of defiance. Hope really represents our belief, our stubborn belief that whatever we're going through isn't permanent, that a change is still possible. Hope is this relying on this notion that we can still be surprised. And when you're talking to people that have known some real, some chronic, some persistent degrees of pain, a lot of that pain being invisible, they deserve a more defiant sense of hope. And I don't think that hope is self-manifesting either. I think it's a gift. I think it's something that is given. It's something that's shared. It's something that really doesn't follow, the laws of basic economy, that if I have more of it, that doesn't mean that Michael has less, right? That there is no scarcity of hope unless we refuse to allow people to meet together. That we see hope in the stories of other people. That I need to know that healing is possible, not just through a poem or through a blog, but to see it as a lived reality through people. And that is what help is. Right? I think help is what hope looks like with skin on it. What it looks like when you are met with compassion, when you're met with a hug, maybe when you're even met in the same room, but with silence, just allowing heavy moments to sit as we look at it in the face, but not looking at it alone. Finding people that we can call part of our team. Another way to think about it is when we're in crisis, when we're really struggling, we often feel like we're in free fall. And when someone offers that line of hope, it's a thread, right? It's a tightrope. You get to stop that free fall, but no one will tell you that hanging on to a single thread is an ideal to keep you safe in the future. So help looks like more of these lines of hope intersecting. Help is the cargo net, right? So we need something to stop our fall. That's hope. And then we need something to keep us safe. That's help. That looks like counselors. That looks like group therapy. That looks like reading clubs, talking about these big things together and growing our emotional vocabulary. That looks like podcasts and that looks like, all these different ways that we can offer support as peers to one another. So hope is going to look like many different things, and so is help by necessity.
How does it feel for you when you hear stories of people feeling better with any program your organization has?
Oh, brother. I've been doing this now for almost 17 years. And the only way that my service to the organization would be sustainable is through seeing proof that what we do works, that what we do meets people. A lot of my job puts me out on the road, puts me in the presence of a ton of people, more often than not at music festivals. And I remember this was years ago in Columbus, Ohio, sharing the story about how we originally got started, a story about our friend Renee and her first 5 days getting help with, addiction and with self-injury. And as I'm telling this story, which originally was just me telling a story to one person, I've become aware that there's like 15 people that are now listening to this story. And as you know, I'm in the middle of this music festival, and at the end of it, I just ask, "Hey, does anyone have any questions?" Like I don't know when you came to the story, but we're here for conversation. Let's keep this going. And I remember this young woman. Her name was Nora. She speaks up and she goes, "Yeah, I got a question. What would you say to me if I've already effed it all up, if I've already totally messed everything up?" And I said, "Well, I'd say that there's always room to start again." And she goes, "No, you don't get it. I was 3 weeks clean and I just used. I just threw it all away. I am hopeless." I said, "Well, Nora, if I could be so bold, we've been talking now for 7 minutes. You've been here listening to this story. I think the clock's restarted. Yeah, those 3 weeks, that's in the rearview mirror, but we got 7 minutes together right here. That's a good starting point. You can always start again." And she nodded and she walked off, and the afternoon turned into night, and all the stages shut down except for the main stage. There were Metallica was headlining that night, and I'm getting ready to close up my booth, and Nora walks up. And I said, "Hey, Nora, what's going on?" And she goes, "Well, I've been thinking a lot about our conversation. And I feel like you should know that I'm on my way to the bathroom to flush the rest of my drugs. I'm ready to start again." And that was one of the coolest things, one of the coolest conversations I ever had. Up until the next year, I'm at that same festival, same place, new headliner, but Nora comes walking up again. She goes, "Hey, I know you probably won't remember me." And I said, "No way. I totally remember you, Nora. How you doing?" She goes, "Well, I wanted you to be the first person I talked to say that I now have 52 weeks of sobriety." That is what we get to experience when we meet people at their lows. It's not a point of shame. In fact, it's fertile ground for a miracle that I never would have been able to celebrate a year of Nora's sobriety if I didn't meet her at 7 minutes. Like those stories fill me up. Those stories, they get me wishing away this first part of the year until festival season kicks up, so that I can meet more Noras, so I can meet more folks like my friends Shane and Brian and Emily. People that really keep this idea of help on a grounded level, that makes it real, that takes it out of the clouds and puts it face to face.
That's amazing to hear that.
Yeah, man, it's amazing to repeat it. Like it's that will never get old for me.
And with music, I feel like it's the most like personal medium. So how does just music and these emotions of other people help people.
Yeah, man. Well, the other people of it all,
Yeah.
music, that's a place that so many of us run to make sense of our lives. Think about your favorite artist or your favorite album, maybe even your favorite song. It's probably your favorite because it reminds you of something that's true in your own life. It's made you feel a little bit less alone. And then when we get to experience that in live settings, we're reminded that there's things in life worth dancing about. There's things in life worth singing about. There's things in life worth screaming about. And there's things in life worth sharing with other people. That the only reason that the music exists and these festivals exist is not just to inflate the ego of the artist, but they're there so that it can be received, so that other people can bear witness to this. And then thinking about it on another level, both, highly scientifically physical and metaphysical in its own way. Michael, you showing up at these places changes everything about that place. That your body is actually changing how the sound is echoing in that room or across that festival field. That if you were not there, that place would feel different. It would sound different. It would look different. You are important to these places and to these experiences. You are irreplaceable in them. So, man, like, I don't want to have another festival without Nora there because I don't know what that would sound like. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know what that would feel like. But I know that I like what it looks like and sounds like and feels like when she shows up. So that's the call, is keep showing up. And it might not always be music. It may be written word. It may be visual art. It may be anything. But the hope is that you would find the people and the places and the projects that remind you that you are alive.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Oh, wow. I could be doing more if I'm honest. But I found that for me, I'm someone that's wired for intensity. So I look for places that and opportunities that kind of shock my senses. Maybe that's going out for a run in the early morning, just so I can catch that sunrise, that first, breaking of the sun through the clouds on the horizon. That is the ultimate for light for me. That doesn't matter how bright the lights are in my office or at the computer. Like, I'm chasing that sun. Or if I'm out eating some food with some friends, I'm gonna get something that's very, very spicy. And that's gonna, kind of shock my senses and really kind of draw like these sleepy parts of myself, back awake. I talk. I listen to other people's stories. I should probably get back in the chair of a counselor sometime soon, but that's something that I've experienced immense growth through. But really, being able to experience and process other people's stories helps a ton to me. Now, when I talk about intensity, it's not always just the loud stuff, but also the subtle stuff. So I try to make time each morning to sit and almost like kind of prayerful reflection, just silence and stillness, and allow the opportunity to see beauty in the things happening around me instead of just interpreting them as distractions. So find me on either side of the spectrum of something really intense or something really subtle. But I find that so much of my life happens in this kind of gray middle that it just gets lost. So being able to tap into what's on either end really helps keep me grounded.
What would you say to anyone going through a tough time?
Oh man, I'd say I'm glad you're here. I'd say you're not alone. I'd say you're currently listening to a conversation of two folks that know firsthand that healing is possible. I, working for a nonprofit, don't get paid enough to lie to you. So please take my word for it that every good thing that you're throwing at your pain is worth it. But please don't go through this alone. We have a number of places for you to start that journey if you're just, feel like you keep running into a wall. So our website, which is just TWLOHA.com, we have a big blue button in the upper right hand corner that says Find Help. There you can find resources by topic, by specific mental health challenge, or key identifier in your own experience. And then you can also find resources if you live in the United States by zip code, whether that's counseling or peer support or even more intensive, inpatient programs. We have options for you. If you need a little more time to work up to those conversations of what it looks like to invite someone else into your story, we actually just released a tool about 10 months ago. We call it the Mental Health Toolkit. You can find that on our website also, or go to mentalhealthtoolkit.co. And there you're going to find a number of actionable steps to help build your mental health resiliency, to help keep you grounded. We have videos, we have worksheets, we have some affirmations for you. We have conversations with real live mental health professionals that may or may not look like what your mental picture says of a mental health professional. But at the end of the day, I want to remind you that your life is something worth sharing, and we know that it can take time to build up to that. But to whatever degree we can help pave that road for you and alongside you, just know that you have us. Reach out to us anytime over email or social media. We believe in you.